the Town of McMillan Plan Commission. Let's stand and do Pledge of Allegiance, and Charlie doesn't have to do it later.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call.
Jason Cavadini.
Deb Davis.
Mike Joyce.
Okay. Approval of the last minutes. Does anybody have any questions or concerns from the Plan Commission on the minutes from the September meeting? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
Make a motion to approve the minutes of the September meeting.
Second.
Okay, minutes of the September 25th meeting, that was the last meeting that the Plan Commission has been approved. Okay, the item on our agenda for the night is discussion with Wayne Phillips. Would you like to address the commission regarding your proposed zone change?
Okay.
So,
Yep. My name is Wayne Phillips. I moved to Marshfield in June of last year.
can you
My
tell us
family.
where you live, Wayne, please?
I live on 635, M635 Burst Street.
Okay.
You went smooth minutes from here. What I was trying to do is possibly alternate source of income was be able to get a dealer's license to possibly, depending on business and how slow and fast things are, to possibly sell cars over the internet. So I have a 40 by 50 building on our property, and what I was going to do is kind of have like cars inside of my building and just sell to people that find it on the internet, whether it be Craigslist or Auto Trader or something. Possibly if I had time. So I called Wausau and they said that I would have to have that approved. Well, not really approved, but more so if the paperwork came across the desk of the office here, to kind of give a heads up to see if that was something that would be okay before I went through the process to do that and then have it rejected. So.
Right, because once you file an application with the county, you have to pay the money with the application, is that correct? Okay. How close are your neighbors?
As of right now, I have 2 empty lots on both sides of my house. I know one neighbor will be moving there in a certain amount of time. I'm not sure exactly when. I never even met them yet. I know they just built their driveway. Across the street, yeah, I think is the Seahafers, and they're setting way back. And then I have another lot that's all woods. And then over that lot, I think that's Bill Arneson's property there. And as far as that, then I got the river that bumps up behind me, so I don't have anyone else there. And then my idea is not to have cars like out on my property. I think if I was to do it, I would only have them inside my building, and it would be mostly a phone call type of appointment meeting type of situation. And then, so it would just be random people coming through the neighborhood and things like that. So
It would be whatever your building would be able to hold?
it wouldn't even be that much. It'd be, I'm thinking probably just 1 or 2, but that's still a lot of details I would have to work out. I don't have it that situated yet. I do a lot of work in Appleton. Since I moved from the Appleton, Green Bay area, I travel there like 3 or 4 days a week still and do work there. So when I'm here, usually I don't do too much out of that building, but I gradually, like I said, have another alternate source of income and different things like that. So it really kind of depends, even if I would do something like that. Yeah, I don't have it totally worked out, but I'm really just looking into it as an alternate source of income.
Have you discussed this at all with your neighbors?
Not at the moment. I did discuss it with Bill, and he didn't have a problem with it. And like I said before, I think I have 2 more lots that, except the one's empty, and the one next to that is a big lot, and the house is sitting way in the back. I never even met them yet. But the other 2 people across the road, and I think they rent that one house, and it's the Seahavers way back there. So I do need to talk to them just to see what they thought. But yeah, that was something that I was getting ready to do as well too. So.
Okay, but because you're going into business, you're going to get an employer or not an employer ID, but a Wisconsin
Yeah.
Permit, a seller's permit or whatever that.
Right. I have that currently for my business now that I own, but like I said, I don't do much work out of my building now. Like I leave and I come back in the afternoon later, so I'm never really doing much around my house right now. So I do have seller permit and my employee identification number, I have all that stuff currently. This is my house pretty much is my mailing address right now for my business.
Any other questions from the plan commission?
Oh, and also thing, when I called Walter, he said it would only be a conditional use, it wouldn't be like I guess there's a step to that, he said I could just use the lowest one. If I did get to that point where I was doing that, and it's just kinda like a part-time thing, he said I could just only do a conditional use, not like a full-time total rezone, he said, or something like that. So that, he said it'd be only conditional, so it's not as much, I guess, to go through to get a light conditional rezone or something like that. I'm not 100% how that goes, so.
Well, at this point, all we can do is just listen to your plans, and it's going to be up to your decision as to whether you go ahead with the application to Marathon County, and then we would have to review and approve that application for conditional rezone or a rezone at that time after we get the paperwork from Marathon County. So,
Okay.
okay. Carolyn, do you have anything to add to that?
I did, when you spoke to Dean Johnson, did he speak to you about the possibility of having to rezone?
He said that it would just be conditional usage or something like that. So he, from what I gathered, it wasn't like a total rezone of my whole property, just be conditional, because I told him I wouldn't be doing it 100%. That would not be my full-time, daytime selling cars. It'd be more so of like a little side thing. So he said you could probably just get away with just only doing a conditional, which I guess is less have to go through or something like that, I thought.
Well, that's something that depends on what the zoning is.
Yeah.
And certain zoning allows certain uses. And that you get that conditional use permit if that zoning allows that type of usage. And that's what has to be checked out as to. That's what the zoning people do, is look at what that zoning is and what the use is, and make sure that it fits within that. If it doesn't, and you can't issue the conditional use, then you have to get it rezoned to whatever will meet your needs.
Okay.
And that's kind of the step. And if he's thinking that it'd just be a conditional use permit, he should know that, I would think.
Yeah, I don't know if he looked. I didn't bring it with me, but I did have a printout of my property,
For sure.
and it said something about how it was zoned, but I don't know how that would play into what I was trying to do. It's 10 acres, but they say so much is ag, so much is something else, and so I don't know how that would play into. But I didn't bring that along with me, but yeah.
Well, they will direct you. So, I think the purpose was, my understanding is that they asked you to present this, so if there was any real qualms about it, that you would speak up at this time.
I would know.
Yeah, so they would know, so that he wouldn't go and pay
Yeah, it's like
$450 for it.
Right.
Well, for an in-house situation,
Yes, yes.
I don't see an issue myself, but
Right.
as long as we don't have something that has a 50 cars sitting outside all of a sudden.
Right, yes, I wouldn't want, my wife wouldn't even have it anyway, but I wouldn't want that myself anyway. But yeah, like I said before, I do so much, I'm so busy doing other things, I just thought it was an alternate, resource, but yeah, no, I wouldn't have cars all over my property. It would be whatever I could have in my garage or something, and then if those two are gone, then maybe need two more or something. I wouldn't want to have it more than that, but it's just, like I said, because I do other stuff as far as automotive work already, so I don't need too much on my plate.
So you want to sell more than 5 a year, I guess is what you're thinking of?
It would probably be more than 5, but I wouldn't have more than that on my property at any current time.
I'm just wondering why I was going to the dealer thing, because I think it's 5, isn't it, that you can do without?
Oh, yeah, you can do so much, but
Without
yeah,
anything.
yeah, but I think it'd be, like I said, if I did have time, I would do that, or, just to be working things out, I'd probably do a certain amount. I still have to work out some logistics and things like that with all doing that, so, but just to get the ball rolling, I would try to just look into, even if that's possible, and see what's going on, so.
Sure.
One thing is the contact of the neighbors, because if the zoning people, either way that they look at it, they might be, in one way, they might be looking for it, in another way, they will actually look for input from your neighbors, so it would behoove you to have them aware of what you're doing and have them on your side, let's say.
Yep, exactly right, yep, and like I said, since it's been the winter, I haven't gone out as much to talk, but I have spoken with some of the neighbors already, and they were kinda cool with that. I know the people that own the next property, they like to hunt and do things in their big garage, and then, like I said, they spoke to Bill, and he didn't have a problem with it, so I just have to talk to a couple more people and kind of see what they think, so.
Jason, do you have anything?
No, I kind of feel the
Okay.
same way, so.
Okay, thank
Awesome.
you.
Thank you.
Hearing nothing else, for the plan commission, I guess we can motion to adjourn.
I make that motion.
Second.
Okay, we are adjourned. Want to switch spots? Yeah. Yeah. I know.
You got it, John.
And if you call,
Right.
Dean, ask him to schedule.
Okay.
And Ken Harvey doesn't have any.
Okay.
So you might as well,
Yep.
there's a phone call, make sure.
I just want a map. I just want one in the planning's maps. That was
Well, you know, what we're gonna be discussing is, just here is, and their plan is what?
Clear homes, yeah, this is.
Yeah, I always wanted to go there, but everything's always
Just
working
gonna
out.
start.
Bring this right on there?
Coming out from Auburn.
Thank you very much.
Well, this is 97 right here, basically. But everything.
Oh, my
Yeah,
Just approve it, but you grant money?
that's exactly what it is, yeah, so it was a short turnaround. He did it in late October, and then the state finally got the rules out in November, so then we spent December trying to engineer it, and then, just,
No, but
and everything over my chili room.
my chili?
I wanted a house on the railroad, it's like, why?
Well,
We thought
you
the
know,
river was cool too,
we
but
have a
I never
situation
even go down
where they
there.
did
And I told him, like,
lay fiber optic when they redid.
dig
I know.
Yeah, but they never sold it.
I asked Frontier what they were doing with it, it's just laying there.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, this is where we are right now.
You don't need our.
No, I know, but you,
Anything. Okay, okay.
you might want to listen.
we're only one short, we're two short.
You guys just get paid for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Pretty good, lady.
Okay, Jason, thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, let's call our board meeting to order. Deb, you want to do the roll call then right away? Yeah. Okay, Joe,
Here.
Carolyn, here, Gary,
Here.
Kevin,
Here.
David's absent. Okay, well, thank you everybody for coming out here. It's a little dicey with the roads, but Jason drove up from Rapids, so it wasn't too bad, was it?
no, it wasn't, it really wasn't that bad, I mean, it was, I think as much freezing rain down there as they thought they were going to. It was mostly rain and then it switched to snow, so it's just slushy.
Slush, yeah, okay. Okay, we have two items to discuss here. The first one, we had asked the fire department if they were going to apply for a grant to bring that forward. I have the fire department sent me, because I asked them what it was they were going for, and this is for the breathers that, and the total dollars requested is $186,700 for new breathers. The amount of our share of that would be $9,335. And the deadline is February 2nd, so we just need to approve, disapprove them applying for that grant. I have extras if you'd like. There you go.
I'll make a motion that we approve the fire department applying for the FEMA grant.
Okay. I'll second it. The motion has been made and seconded to approve the fire department applying for the FEMA grant. Is there any discussion?
Who's all in the cooperative with it? Is it just between us and Stratford?
I don't know that. I don't know that it's I don't know. They had talked about maybe going together, but they didn't say anything about that's the way it was.
Okay, so
Huh?
Oh, go ahead, finish it.
in our budget, what we approved was $1,500 for grants and
$1,500 for grants?
for state grants, but cooperative grants, we have nothing.
I don't remember that. Sorry, I didn't know that we'd ever put an amount that we could apply for.
Well, if,
I don't think so.
correct, because the grants were never brought to the board prior to, but now they are, and we didn't budget any money to do this, so in order to do any of this, we have to amend the budget to put something in to do this.
No, we won't do that until we have to get it first. And they've applied twice for it and haven't gotten it, so our chances are, but you gotta keep trying.
Yeah, so.
Yeah,
All you're asking for tonight is.
is permission to
Permission to
apply.
Right.
Right, so, see what it is from there. Okay, anything else? Okay,
Joe,
Aye.
Carol,
aye.
Gary,
Aye.
Kevin,
Aye.
Okay, the next one is for you, Justin. It's the approve or disapprove of the resolution for the Solaris grant. So, I do have a copy of the resolution, but do you kind of want to just kind of go over it with us here briefly? What we're doing?
Yep. So, and there's really two total pieces that we'll be doing. So one, obviously tonight, is a resolution, and which will then give someone the ability to sign the actual public-private partnership agreement. So they basically look exactly the same, other than a handful of wording changes, the first page of each. And so what that's doing is kind of laying out the relationship piece of it, and then the second page of the resolution is the board acting to actually take the resolution, whereas on the agreement it kind of has some of the legalese that lays out the terms of the actual public-private partnership. So with that, it's basically just laying out the fact that, both Solaris and Tom McMillan are, coming together to apply for broadband grant. The biggest meat of it, when it comes down to the board side of it or the township side of it, is kind of that last whereas on the first page. So if we end up getting the grant, so providing in-kind assistance to Solaris to assist in the construction of fiber facilities contingent upon Solaris reviewing the full funding request for the second round of grant funding. So basically what this is saying is you're only really doing something if we get the grant, so it's contingent on us receiving the grant. And then what you're doing is you're providing in-kind assistance in the project, form of waiving fees and expenses and returning permits and permissions required from the town of McMillan and government, granting permissions on access to town property to engage in activities in construction of the project, providing community education, outreach. Example would be, your attendance to the public meeting that we had a couple weeks ago, and then recognizing the project in internal planning. So what that really means is just saying, if you find out, through the planning commission or something like that, there's a brand new subdivision that's going on part of this route, that you'd let us know that ahead of time so that we engineer it properly to, to be able to include that new subdivision in that situation. So it's no monetary, there's nothing that the township's bringing to the table from a monetary perspective. It's really just agreeing to work with us if we are able to be successful in winning that grant application. The reason it's so important for us to get your buy-in from that perspective is it's a requirement of the grant. So in order to be able to apply and be successful with the grant, you have to show that the community that you're looking to serve is involved, invested in it. So we're able to do that all by just saying, in kind and the ability for us to work together. We don't need you to bring any dollars to the table, but that's one of the requirements for the grant to be able to work through it from that side. So
What would be the in-kind assistance?
well, really all it is that
First, we're talking in-kind assistance to assist in the construction of fiber facilities.
Well, but so this is saying that the in-kind, so it's basically just declaring in-kind, so that the first clause is kind of the saying, okay, if we get the funding, you're going to provide in-kind. Then the next four are the in-kind items, basically. So in-kind is that, waiving of fees. Again, I don't know that the township has fees for right-of-ways or anything like that. We did this with Town of Plover. They don't have fees for those. So in that situation, they're really not waiving anything because you wouldn't have charged fees related to right-of-way anyways. But again, it's more trying to show the states that you're coming to the table with something. So the fact that you don't have fees, we don't have to say that. We can just say that we're not going to charge us for right-of-ways effectively. And then, granting permission if there was something, that where we're actually going through, town property, that's the second one there. Education, again, showing up for the night that we had a couple weeks ago, helping us maybe be able to put something in the newsletter, coming out here in March. Those would be the things that we'd be looking for there. And then lastly is just, including us in any future thoughts or developments related to the actual project area. So it's those four bullet points are really the in-kind that you're providing.
And then, if this goes through, when would this occur?
So we have it budgeted for this construction season. So it has to occur within 2 years of the application or the acceptance of the grant effectively. But we do have it budgeted that we would do the construction during this summer. Ideally, we'd get all the in-ground construction done during during summer, early fall, then we continue to do installs throughout the winter. As long as we get everything buried, we're then able to continue finishing the splicing and the actual install of the homes throughout the winter. So we can't, the way it works for the actual grant, we'll come up with a percentage. So let's say we end up doing 60% from us, 40% for the grant. When we spend money, then we're able to submit it to the PSC. They then will reimburse us at 40 cents on the dollar. But if we don't spend it, they don't reimburse us, and then if we don't spend it within 2 years, we lose the ability to continue to access those grant funds. So it behooves us to move it through from that perspective. So we've got it budgeted on our side to get it done this summer. It'll still take the winter to do the installs, but have all the burying done during the summer and fall.
Okay.
And if you don't get the grant?
What's that?
And if you don't get the grant?
So if we don't get the grant, I think right now what we'd look to do, we will find out, at least I have a better idea of what the hang up is. So there's a little bit of, this is the biggest amount they've ever had. Typically in the past they've done $1.5 million a year. This grant cycle there's $7.5 million available. When they score our grant application, it's not like a true score, but they do point out the items that you had present and the items you didn't. So there is a second round of funding that will happen June or July timeframe this year. What we would probably do is build some of the mainline fiber to get up in this direction, which would reduce the total ask. and then try and resubmit just for the actual fiber to the home portion. It's about a third of the project is just for us to get up over to this area as we're kind of working across there. So with that being said, I think we would still construct that this summer and then resubmit at a lower ask to just do the actual township portion and burying fiber to the home. So we still need to build a portion of this to get a redundant route in and out of Marshfield for our business customers in Marshfield. So we'll probably spend $200,000 to $300,000 to reduce the total project and put us in a better position for that second round possibly. If we didn't win the grant project at all, then it'd just be a matter of trying to figure out a business case. So we've had I think we've got about 24 people that have, written into the websites for support. We could make a business play for this without the grant proceeds, but in that situation, we'd have to know what level of subscribership we'd be able to get. So we have a process of doing that. We did that in Lake Petenwell area this last year, where we pre-sold it, basically went out to the community and said, okay, here's what we're bringing to town, we need you to put money down, then we'll basically use that against your first month's bill once you hook up, and then go forward from there. So the biggest thing with the grant application is allows us to build it and then just allow people to migrate to it over time, whereas if we're doing it 100% on our dollars and cents, I think we'd have to go that level where we got the commitment from the customers that they would take it. I don't think we'd have, they call that aid of construction, where we require the customer to pay something of it. I don't think we actually require them to pay it. We just typically put money down so that when we get there, they actually do take the service. Then we credit that back against their bills after they actually take the service.
So this is just basically step one. We approve this resolution that you can apply for the grant that shows that the town of Vermillion is supportive of this. If you don't get this and you still want to come in and put the fiber optic in, do you need to come back and we need to do something different again for right-of-ways, or is this kind of covering?
Well, the only thing is if we came back at it again, so let's say we go to the second round of funding, we'd still have this public-private partnership available. I think I don't know if it specifically states, let me see if it's round 2. We may have to amend it to say that it's not specific to the 2008 fiscal year round 2. Can't remember if the agreement actually drops that in. It does drop it in. So in theory, we'd probably do the same thing again. After that, it would just be normal course of business where we would, reach out on any of those things like we would working with any township from that perspective. So if we did it just from a business case perspective, then it wouldn't require us to redo this again from that side. But if we did go to the second round of funding, we'd have to amend this agreement, because right now it's specific to just the fiscal year 2018 second round. The next round would be the 2019 first round, is what they'll end up labeling that one. But
So if you did not get the grant,
we do this.
We do this again just
Yep.
for the permission to go through the right way, basically.
Well, if we didn't do the grant, we do this one more time to try the second round of grant funding, and then after that, we could do something for the right of ways, but otherwise we would just reach out to you and go through the normal process for right of ways and everything like that. Just like any other utility would.
Sure.
So we wouldn't have to actually have a public-private partnership on that front. But
Well, say we do get the grant
yep.
and you get everybody all hooked up, but Mike here, he might want it, and he's over on County Trunk E. So would there be any plan of reaching out more than what you are suggesting right now?
Yeah, one of our goals would be so we've got one route that comes in the south side of Marshfield, and then this will be our northern route that we'll dip into Marshfield right by Walmart, and then we'll split off and come up here. But again, with fiber, you're always looking to ring. So, a long term over the next 3 to 5 years, what we're hoping to do is kind of work both ways around so that we can serve the entire surrounding area. We've had discussions with Marshfield proper related to where they want to go with their utilities as well. They obviously own the electric there, and so they feel maybe a partnership down the line could be something interesting there as well. So we're still very vested in this area. We have business customers in Marshfield. I think at the end of the day, it's easier for us to go through rural areas to connect that than it is for us to cut right through the heart of Marshfield, just because that's how construction kind of works from that perspective. So we do have intentions of continuing to build that out. It's just a matter of whether we can actually do it with grant funds or not. Again, there's been situations where applications have been able to lead to a phase 2 for that. So Town of Hull in Portage County, Amherst Communications did a phase 1, and then a year later they came back and did a phase 2 with the same township in that situation. The only tough part is we picked this route specifically because of the fact that it's considered underserved by the Public Service Commission. It doesn't sound, I mean, it sounds like there's definitely some gaps in the areas that we've heard, west of here as well. So I think it'd just be a little bit harder whether we could do it through grant funds or whether we could just do it as a business case. Yeah.
Okay, so for instance, like Wayne, he lives on, if this comes up T, you said?
Yeah, yeah.
Along T, and he lives on Birch, so would that go out
Birch?
from T?
Birch is included in
Yeah,
this.
Birch is included
It
in this
is
one.
in there,
Yeah.
okay,
It's the 4 square miles,
okay, I'm sorry,
Of
I
our
don't have the map with me. I
southeastern
didn't-
corner of our
I had trouble
township.
understanding that.
No, that's all right. Yeah, and I've got the bigger one here too, but.
Got your good glasses on?
Well, yeah, no, that's the tough part.
That's why I was having a little difficult with that.
Yeah, I mean, and again, these ones are, but these are the actual houses that would be on the routes, and then there's kind of the route. The bad news is this one doesn't have all the individual streets, whereas this one does, but yeah, here's Birch and T right there.
Okay. But you got Birch on both sides of T.
Yeah, it's included on there.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, all the way out.
Birch is
that
included
day.
all the way to Stott,
okay.
between Stott and
Yep,
Day,
day.
and from McMillan to Birch, is the square area, plus the outlying area north of, on Cherry and up Stott a little ways.
So it ends at Carolyn's house.
It ends at Carolyn's house.
Yay. Okay, very good.
I have a question on this resolution.
Yeah.
It says the intent is to enter into a public-private partnership. Now, there's nothing in here that names somebody to sign the partnership. Do we need to do that now, or is that something we do after you get the grant?
Well, and we do actually need the agreements before we file for the grant. So what will go into the grant application is not the resolution, it'll be the actual agreement. So,
So we have to act on the agreement and as well as the resolution.
yes, yeah.
Well, we need to add that to this resolution that whoever's going to be signing this,
Signing the
agreement, I mean,
agreement.
which I would expect would be our town chairman.
That's what is typically happened
Do
in
we
the
need
past.
to authorize her to do that, or she?
Let
She
me
has
read
the
it.
authorization to do that already.
She has that authorization,
Yes.
okay. All right, want to be sure.
As long as it's board approved.
Okay.
Mhm.
I'll make a motion to go ahead with this approving the resolution that we were presented and going into the public-private partnership agreement with Solaris.
I'll second that.
Who seconded?
Kevin. The motion has been made to enter into the public-private partnership agreement with Solaris, and what else did you
And
say?
to approve the resolution to do that.
Yes. And I think this would be like probably resolution 2018-1.
Yes.
Okay, is there any further discussion? Okay, can we vote?
Joe?
Aye.
Carolyn?
Aye.
Gary?
Aye.
Kevin?
Aye.
Okay.
Would it be better for you if all the supervisors have their signatures?
Oh,
Well, the resolution's kind of up to you guys, because that'll just end up being in your minute side, so whichever way you want to do it. I think the only, like I said, the only thing that'll actually make it into the grant application for us is those second 2 pages, the actual public-private partnership agreement, which I think, yeah, we just got a single signature and then my signature on that one.
Okay. Well, we certainly, you've got that second page, you've got lots of lines.
I left you plenty of lines, yeah.
Yeah, so get them, everybody to
Yeah,
sign.
typically, we all sign the resolutions,
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Okay,
And thank you very much. I know it was a quick turnaround on our side. Unfortunately, they finally got the rules all done there in late November, but I think it'll be a strong application, and hopefully we're successful with it. So
yeah,
thank
hopefully.
you very much.
Okay, thank you. So
Yeah.
you have the original that you want us to sign.
I can stick around after too. If you...
No, that's it. We're at the end of our,
That's it?
we're at the end. Do we have another motion?
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Okay. Is there-
I'll second that.
Okay, motion been made and seconded to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, meeting adjourned.
Who's going to the meeting on Thursday?
Yes.
Colby.
Fake name.
He's going to town.
100% sure.
West Nile. There's gonna be, for the people that are here, there's gonna be some, one of the big agenda items on Thursday is gonna be, update on the addressing. And I'll be there and
With
I'm
bells
gonna
on.
have something in the newsletter, a complete update in this next newsletter, so hopefully everybody will get that.
Is that something about something that changing?
All the addresses in the county are changing, so your address is gonna be a different 6-digit number and the road is gonna get changed.
Oh, and what was the reason for that? I heard of some family about it, but I just.
It's, the county decided that they had to be changed because of safety for dispatching. The dispatching has gone to countywide dispatching and there were too many duplications in the.
Yeah.
Throughout
That people
the
gotta
county.
come to my house and they're way on the other side of town.
They couldn't figure out the difference between Mosley and Marshfield. Yeah, right, tell me about that.
When is that meeting, Joe?
What?
When is that meeting, Joe?
Thursday night.
Is that,
It's the Wisconsin Towns.
It's a Western
District.
Wisconsin.
it's not here.
7